Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into how computer science is helping us unlock secrets hidden inside 2,000-year-old bones, and how a lab that can literally fit inside a backpack is completely rewriting the tree of life.
I know, it sounds like something straight out of science fiction, but it's really happening. What we're going to see is how a simple shift in thinking, focusing on smarter data, not just more data, is changing how we see everything from ancient human migration to the incredible biodiversity of the Amazon.
Okay, let's get right into it with our first story. And for this one, we're heading to a crucial prehistoric passage right through the heart of the European Alps.
So, this Alpine corridor, you can think of it as a prehistoric superhighway. It was absolutely essential for trade and cultural exchange. But the big question has always been, who exactly was moving through here? Well, to figure that out, bioarchaeologists are looking at the bones they left behind, searching for any clues about where they came from. And their main tool for this kind of detective work is measuring something called stable isotopes. The easiest way to think about these is as a kind of permanent chemical zip code. See, the specific isotopic signature that gets locked into an animal's bones can tell you the geographic region where it actually lived. But, and this is a big but, there's a huge problem. This kind of analysis is incredibly expensive, it takes forever, and worst of all, it physically destroys the ancient sample. So scientists are stuck with this high-stakes gamble. You've got limited money and these irreplaceable samples. Which chemical fingerprint do you bet on to give you the answer you need?
And this is where things get really clever. A team of computer scientists came in with a pretty radical idea. They said, instead of just guessing, why don't we use data mining to find the most valuable piece of information?
So they built this incredibly smart data-driven process. First, as you can see, they just fed all the existing isotope data into a computer and let an algorithm find all the natural patterns and groupings. Then, they played what is basically a scientific game of Jenga. They digitally pulled out one isotope at a time and measured how much the whole picture wobbled or changed. And that allowed them to do the final step, give each isotope a score, not just for how important it was, but for how unique its information was. For the first time, they could see which isotopes were the real key players, and which ones were just, repeating what other isotopes were already saying.
And this is exactly where their approach paid off big time. The results were, well, they were completely unexpected. It turns out that the oxygen isotope, which was a go-to measurement that scientists had relied on for years, wasn't actually all that important, at least not for this region.
What they found was that the information they were getting from oxygen was largely redundant. In this specific part of the world, other isotopes like strontium and lead were already providing the very same geographic clues. The data showed that if you just left oxygen out of the analysis, it barely changed the final picture at all.
Now, this is about way more than just saving time and money. This discovery solves a massive scientific roadblock. You see, oxygen isotopes are destroyed by fire, which has made it impossible to analyze cremated human remains this way. But now, knowing that they can get the same answers from other, more stable isotopes, scientists can finally study these remains. They can begin to piece together the stories of a whole population that was, until now, completely invisible to this kind of research. It's a total game changer. All right, so that's how data mining is helping us read the past. Now let's switch gears and jump to the present day to see how a similar idea, this focus on smarter data, is tackling the absolutely massive challenge of cataloging all life on Earth. So for years, scientists have used what's called DNA barcoding to identify species. It's kind of like scanning a barcode on a product to see what it is. And it works, but it's a bit like a blurry black and white ID photo. It tells you what something is, but not much else. The new approach is to sequence a much longer stretch of DNA. This is like upgrading from a blurry photo to a whole high-definition movie. You get so much more information that you can see not just the species name, but also exactly how it's related to all of its cousins on the evolutionary family tree. Now, until very recently, sequencing that much DNA was a huge, expensive ordeal that could only happen in these giant labs. The game changer is this little device you're looking at right here, the Minion. It's a powerful, portable DNA sequencer that fits in the palm of your hand, and it lets scientists read incredibly long strands of DNA literally anywhere on the planet. A lab in the rainforest, proving it in the field. So to really put this new tech to the test, a team packed up a miniaturized DNA lab into their backpacks and hiked deep into the Amazon rainforest in Peru. Their mission was to see if they could actually do all of this complex analysis right there in the field. And guess what? It worked perfectly. Right there in the middle of the rainforest, They could go from collecting a spider to generating a super detailed map of its evolutionary history, all on site. They weren't just getting species names anymore. They were building these rich, complex family trees in real time, completely free from a traditional lab.
So what on earth do 2,000-year-old bones in the Alps and fresh insects from the Amazon really have in common?
Well, it's the exact same fundamental idea, just applied in two totally different fields. The team studying ancient bones used data to cut through the noise, to figure out how to get the most information with the least effort. And the biodiversity team used new technology to capture a much richer signal from the very start, getting the species ID and its family tree all on one shot. Both are about this huge shift towards working smarter, with more efficiency and more depth.
Ultimately, both of these stories are showing us a new way to read the Book of Life. One approach is like creating a better index for the book, so we know exactly which page to turn to for the answer we need. The other is like inventing a new kind of lens that lets us read the fine print that we could never, ever see before. Both are giving us access to stories that were simply impossible to read just a few years ago.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If we can do all this now, reading the past from dust and mapping an entire rainforest from a single backpack, what secrets are we going to uncover next? With our ability to read this book of life getting better and faster every single day, the discoveries of the next decade might just blow away everything we thought we knew.